What's the first sign that a movie is going to be bad?
It stars Steven Seagal.
The trailer is over the top.
Someone else put in the work to make the property popular in the first place, and the people in charge of making the movie put zero effort into making it look or feel like the property it's based on, relying on the name and special effects alone.
Forced character exposition to move the plot along.
Not always the case, but when there are more than 3 writers, a movie tends to lack vision. It can also occur due to rewrites. Not a Bomb podcast reviews movies that bombed financially or critically, and this is a subject often discussed if anyone is interested.
You can tell the acting is awful even from the trailer.
Family moves in. Guess what? Someone got killed in their new home.
It's advertised as sells, but it's usually a cheap way to get sales.
It's an adaptation and the director or the studio already discusses the changes he made, which makes it clear they don't understand the Jackson to. We aged the characters and added in romance. Golden compass to take out the religious controversy to appeal to the American other stuff they'll blab like. We wanted to make it more inclusive and did this. Read. I didn't focus on the main story plot because it was more important to include my agenda in. And I hope you take note of it.
When there are like 10 production studio motifs before the actual film starts.
It's advertised as one of the best movies of the year. And it's late January.
For the family, Clovis, Weekly, Herald, A Great Adventure. ABC, Morning, News, 59, Poding.
An exposition in which one character explains everything that's going on to another character that should already know what is going on.
When I want to get up to get some snacks 5 minutes into the movie but don't pause it because I feel like I'm probably not missing out on much.
You can look at the ad and already tell how the story will start and end.
When the trailer already tells you the entire movie.
Directing credit goes to Alan Smithy.
If it's a non-modern piece with modern hair and makeup in it.
If there are multiple trailers for a comedy movie, but they use the same joke in all of them.
Tyler Perry presents.
Selling points are focused on celebrity names and visual effects.
None of the characters understand that sneaking away from summer camp to have is going to start a murderous rampage of all but one of the remaining summer campers.
He's so talented, though. I've seen his name on virtually every genre.
Stacy Sweetie, you know I haven't been the same since your brother disappeared 4 years ago at the creek. And then we moved here to get away from the bad memories, but it didn't change anything, and now you're moving to college and I've been finding it hard to accept. And I'm struggling to hold down my job at the diner, and that new guy I'm seeing is acting really shady and disappears for days, and completely unrelated to all that. There's mysterious murders happening since he arrived in town. You know all this whilst unpacking the shopping in the first scene.
When the trailer says something like, from the studio that brought you X, or from the producer that brought you X.
I've scratched titles off my watch list because I feel I've already seen the important parts of the film through the trailer. Why bother?
Steven Seagal movies are simply vehicles for money laundering. Allegedly.
And includes every joke in the movie.
Cats, Emoji Movie. Other examples of that comes to the mind.
Birds won't fly over the house and the townsfolk are kinda weird, but hey, it was a bargain and just the thing they need to fix their strained marriage and finish their next novel.
It's been in production for always a reason. For a recent example, Chaos Walking. It changed screenwriter, director and production company so many times over 10 years but was sold on it. Been a Charlie Kaufman movie starring Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland. Kaufman left in 2013. Ridley and Holland filmed it over years due to so many reshoots and failed screenings. Then Lionsgate said the negative reviews were shocking. To really?
I have a feeling the Mario movie is going to bad. It just has the fan service with all the Easter. Feels like it's one of those movies where the main character is going to say something goofy like, "This game is excellent. Maybe we should call it Mario Kart 8 Deluxe," in the middle of my movie.
Halo TV.
The preview shows a girl who's just too focused on career to find love going back to her small hometown for whatever reason.
Whoa. Back saying that you went to Reddit, saw a thread about identifying signs that a movie will be bad and then you decided to comment on it?
Justice League, 2017, was guilty of this.
Updated for modern audiences.
As you all.
Greater than Alan Smithy, his career spans over 4 decades.
It's a remake of something that didn't.
It's January.
2010's Avatar. The Last Airbender movie and the Michael Bay Transformers franchise are the hardest hitting ones of this phenomenon for me. I loved both of these growing up and those movies absolutely ate.
They start throwing out buzzwords unironically as someone who loves progressive themes in movies. The second someone tosses out something like toxic masculinity, I know it's not gonna be good. The primary rule in storytelling is show, don't tell, and a lot of movies that want to be progressive and make people think don't think their audience is smart enough to figure out stuff like symbolism and nuance and basic storytelling, so they're gonna smack you over the head with just how progressive they are. A good example of this is comparing the original Black Christmas from the 70s to the most recent remake, ignoring the one with all the eyeballs. The original one was a feminist movie, with complex female characters who aren't dying with their ass out. The protagonist has an abortion and is not painted as a bad person for it. All the women in the movie are different, and are allowed to be smart, rude and imperfect. It's feminist because at the time, this was much rarer in movies, especially the abortion part. Meanwhile, the most recent version of Black Christmas is trying really hard to be feminist, including a character who is a walking Instagram infographic, and while I appreciate the themes they were trying to explore, they spell it all out in the dialogue and don't let the visuals and the symbolism speak for themselves. You can absolutely have great movies with progressive themes, you just have to rest it like any other movie and focus on the storytelling, not proving to the audience that you're up on all the feminist. If a movie wants to explore themes like gender, race, sexuality, etc., and just starts throwing out buzzwords, the movie is gonna be because they don't listen to show, don't tell, and focus on making a good movie edit. Requisite thank you for the gold kind stranger. I think this is the first one I've gotten and I'm very happy it's on this post. Edit 2. I'm seeing a few people misconstrue this as using words like white privilege and having people of color at all, so I want to clarify. The use of the term throwing around is important here. Movies and TV should absolutely discuss topics like white privilege, toxic masculinity, etc., and them using those terms doesn't make them automatically bad. When they start tossing them out without any real purpose other than winning points with the audience or seeming smart or making a very surface level commentary is a bad thing. A show taking the time to discuss white privilege does not mean it's bad. A show having an activist character toss out the term to show they're an activist without actually bothering to talk about the subject is a sign that there's probably not a lot of thought going into it. Updating previous characters to make them black or a woman isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if there's no real thought behind it, and they just want the viewers that having characters like that brings, it's characters of color, women, people, disabled people, and using words and sentences related to those communities is not a bad thing. Using those terms incorrectly, whether that's poor writing or corporate diversity, is the problem, and makes the movies bad. Having black elves or having marginalized characters talk about their experiences is not an indicator that a movie will be bad.
Doctor, what we have here is a case of transcranial temporal reinforcement. If the patient is not restored to his original nascency, the Einstein-Boseman condensate will recede throughout the multiverse and congeal with unforetold consequences. Other doctor, in English please. Doctor, we need to send him back in time so his brain can restart the universe.
This applies to more than movies. See video game series kept alive after the original studio disbands, folds.
When it's a comedy and the main character is a legendary actor playing a dad or grandpa.
Hey, what happened to the last people who owned this place? They were eaten alive by pirates. Might want to raise my kids.